All right, today we're going to see if we can solve memory again. I previously had set up QMD, which is basically this thing that would allow me to have better access to memories inside of my OpenClaw. But when the creator, Pete Steinberger, talks about an app or a plugin that can actually help you with your memories, I definitely tune in and listen. So he just posted this, and this is something that we've tried before, and people are still saying that they have problems with their memories. I know I do when I use my OpenClaw, and he recommended this thing called Lossless Claw. So in today's live stream, as you can kind of see up above, we're going to have some of the topics down below as far as what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to go ahead through the plugin install, do a quick memory test, and as a bonus for you today, as an added bonus, there's another thing that just came off the press, which is kind of crazy that you should pay attention to. And if you haven't set this up, this is definitely something you have to set up for your OpenClaw. And this is part of the latest update, and it's worth updating to. It's the .13 release. So it's the 3.13 released, and that's going to allow you to use Chrome inside of your browser. But it's not going to behave like an agentic browser, which is what happens when all these companies start throwing up these CAPTCHAs. It's actually like a debug version, and what that means is that your OpenClaw can control the browser on the Mac Mini or whatever hardware you got, and it's going to basically behave like you. It's as if you're driving everything on the screen, and this is a massive, massive breakthrough, and this just came through, like, I mean, all within the last 48 hours. So this guy basically posted this, like, took another 2 months, but Chrome 146 is out since yesterday, and that means that a single toggle, you can expose your current live browsing session via an MCP and have your CLI do things with it. Obviously, this caught wind super fast, and people are like, I need to get this set up for my OpenClaw, and that's exactly what happened. So I'll show you how to go through this setup here, because this is also pretty simple to set up. It's part of the latest release, and then you should be able to kind of start cooking there. So this, yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff there. It's kind of insane how we can do this, but first let's go ahead and kind of figure out this problem here for Lossless Claw. So this is a thing called Lossless Claw, and it says, they even made a website that says don't lose your context. So when the agent does some compaction, what ends up happening is that you sometimes lose out because it'll like take away all of those things in your chat and try to summarize those paragraphs, what you talked about, but sometimes those important details are really necessary. So this thing is supposed to kind of build a little bit of a database and set up its own little data structure here for Lossless Claw. I haven't used it yet, so this is going to be our first time with all of us playing together. I'm going to try to increase the font here so you can kind of see. He made a little slide. So this is your context window and your token budget. And this is what it normally happens. You have, help me set up a plan for a 3-week solo trip to Japan. And then the agent responds with like, great. And then so you see you use 140 tokens, and the next one there use about 520. And if you keep scrolling down, boom, you start to get pretty close to the threshold, which is 1,700, about 86%, right? So you have all these turns, and what you end up doing, you want to basically make one flat summary. So everything is replaced by a single summary. And the space is basically now reclaimed, but the details are lost, right? So this is kind of what I was saying earlier. A flat summary can't hold the fidelity of a long conversation, and the model will confidently misremember specifics and contradict earlier decisions. So that's the problem that I've been having, and I know a lot of other people have been having too, is that the longer you go in your conversation with your OpenClaw, it forgets, and then you're like, okay, what about the QMD memory thing? And then I don't know. So this is going to be for you. This live stream's for you. We're taking a look at this a little bit, kind of what this whole problem is. So we're just kind of covering what the problem space. So this is where LCM comes in. So LCM starts the same way, a conversation accumulating messages, but instead of truncating, it compacts them into layered summaries where nothing is ever lost. So this is the messages that arrive. And then as soon as they come in, the budget fills, and then there's a fresh tail. So the fresh tail is an interesting concept here, right? So the LCM always protects the most recent raw messages with the fresh tail. These are never compacted, so everything older is eligible for summarization. In this simplified example, the fresh tail is just 4 messages. So as it keeps going, there's incremental compaction. So when raw messages outside of the fresh tail exceed 2,000 tokens, the LCM, which is the plugin, fires and incremental compaction happens. And so this happens asynchronously, so your conversation isn't interrupted. And because source messages are never lost in LCM, compaction is always safe. Pretty cool, right? This is pretty crazy. So the summary, so like, it makes sense because all of your recent conversations, like in my chat, it's always like the most recent thing I've talked about. And then if there is something that needs to go back, it can always kind of go back to it, right? So this is summary compaction. The eligible chunk is sent to the model with a structured prompt, And the summary replaces the source messages in the conversation, but the references to the source messages are preserved. So this is the bigger part of what people like is really exciting about this thing, is that if you still preserve those messages and save them somewhere, if there's something in the conversation that kind of has to go back and reference that, you can actually then, it's almost like an index, right? So think about like you're flipping through Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia, an encyclopedia. They make these examples like a phone book, I guess, um, if you grew up in the age of phone books or Wikipedia, or, I keep saying Wikipedia, that's all I know is Wikipedia, but like, I guess the concept of encyclopedia, I guess people used to have these houses and full of books and stuff. I don't know how y'all did that, but like, I don't know how people lived before Google. I don't know how people lived to like hold phone numbers in their head. Like, there's a whole era, but anyways, you keep that like index somewhere, right? Like you're like, hey, what book, where's that information that we talked about? Like just like a couple days ago. Right. And so you're like, oh yeah, that's that like pink book over there. And so you're like, let me just go grab that again and try to read through what happened. And so this is kind of what's really happening in your memories, which is really interesting here. So LCM was made by Martian Engineering. It's called Lossless Claw. And let me just link you guys up right now, just so that you guys can get this. I saw this in the chat. I just want to make sure this is coming through. So if you're in the chat, go ahead and take a look there. Let me just kind of slide this over here so y'all get this. Okay. So yeah, click that link. You can kind of go through here. And then to get this installed, you basically would just tell your OpenClaw to install it, which we're going to go through here. But I wanted to make sure we covered this so that people who were trying to learn a little bit more about it can just learn this way. And I learn this way too if I talk about it out loud and try to think about it with you out loud. This would be really cool. And then we're going to get into the plugin install next. And then we're going to do some memory tests, and then we're also going to talk about the open models and also the Chrome stuff. So that's what's up. Yeah. We'll discuss how these source messages are accessed later when we discuss the expansion. See, I got a little ahead of myself. This is what I'm thinking, but this is kind of the impetus here. So it's called a summary DAG. So summarize this conversation segment for future turns, preserve the decisions, rationale, constraints, and active tasks. Remove repetition and conversational filler. So end with expand for details about what was compressed. So here's what it looks like. So this conversation we have up here with that fresh tail, and then all this other stuff that's before it has now this new thing that says summary depth 0. So the installed client, received cores, whatever it is. So you can kind of see visually, it has 8 messages with 1 through 4 turns, and then there's the 8 raw messages with turns 1 through 4 here. So that's the kind of the data structure, I guess you can say there. And then the new message is archived. So the fresh tail advances. So the summary is also compact stand-in, and the agent can expand on demand. That's pretty cool. So you can kind of see how this continues to here. So the cycle repeats. After more turns, the new cohort of messages accumulates outside of the fresh tail. The threshold is crossed and another compaction fires automatically. So you can kind of see how this process repeats. Now we have summary 1, summary 2, and that compaction happens. And then the fresh tail still here. So like the most recent things you talked about usually are kind of the things that you're talking about. And this is how you can go for a longer period of time, right? So second compaction, and this is kind of cool. So fast forward, obviously you have all these different compactions, and then there's a condensation threshold. So when enough summaries compact, LCM fires condensation pass, and they're synthesized into a single depth 1 node. So this is going to be like 1 node, and you can kind of see visually here on the side what this node looks like. So this node that's here shows a big summary depth. It's like basically this could be an entire day. This can be an entire like huge lengths of conversations. And this is how it has a relationship to all the data, and it still has access to go down to all those specific conversations. So hopefully what this can do is a couple of things. It can respect your token windows. So one of the problems is like you don't want to, once you cross a certain threshold, usually like over 150 to like 200,000, once you cross like 200,000 tokens on a lot of these models, they charge you more for having a longer context window. And that can happen pretty quickly, especially in OpenClaw, because it's like one chat. And for me, like when you have one chat and you add one more, like you reply back with thanks, while the rest of the conversation is cached, once you've crossed that 200,000 token threshold, you're still sending all that stuff back. You're still having the caching price, but now you're paying, because now you cross the 200,000 token threshold and it costs more. So something like this is kind of like going to keep your conversations compacted and fresh in this with this technique. And this is still to be determined, but this kind of really piqued a lot of my interest, and this is kind of why I was thinking about telling you about this and trying to learn about this together here live with us. So it looks like it also has, this is condensation pass. Okay, so the 4 summaries are sent to the model with higher level synthesis. The result is a depth 1 summary, more abstract, more durable, covering the full arc. As the conversation keeps growing, this process repeats. Depth 1 nodes accumulate, trigger their own condensation. Depth 2, and the DAG grows deeper with the conversation. So depth-aware prompts. So the LCM builds a 3-level summary tree. Each depth runs different prompts. So depth 0 summarizes, captures specific decisions, rationale, exact technical details. Depth 2 distills the arc, what evolved, what outcomes, what current state. And depth 2 produces a durable narrative. Decisions are still in effect, and the milestone timeline and kind of a context that stays useful. So there's these D1, D0, D1, D2. So here we go. This is cool. Okay. So now that we have this, we have bounded lossless context. So the conversation has grown considerably, yet the context remains tight and compact. Nothing was discarded, and every messages live in the DAG. That is an interesting way to store information. So we have D0 for minutes, D1 for hours, D2 for days, 3 for weeks and months. So how does this model actually access the information in DAG? This is kind of mind-blowing because all of the effort that I was putting in on my last stream and in the past couple of weeks to figure out this memory problem can all be solved literally probably just with this one technique, right? It doesn't involve swinging up crazy amounts of models. It's literally just one plugin. That's kind of nuts, right? Yeah, like this is really, really crazy. So I think this is a really good question, right? How would I choose LCM over QMD? Or do they complement each other? I'm coming from a place of ignorance. No, I'm the same way actually, John. And this is what I'm trying to learn today as well. So we're going to learn this right now on the stream. Part of this discovery process and what I like to do here is just kind of take these topics and expand them out a little bit and see if we can learn together. And I really appreciate the questions that everyone's asking and coming here to participate, because I don't know, and I don't think a lot of people know as much as people who are really in the trenches in terms of like actually writing these pieces of software. But also there's a lot of noise. So I'm just trying to pick apart what are some of the best things and kind of lay them out here for us to talk about them. And then once we learn something, I might turn them into a video. As of now, I've actually, Factory AI actually supported my last live stream. So that's given me some income to kind of pour into some editors. So I'm going to try to see if we can like cut up this video to share back with other people. And then I might actually distill some of the information we learn on the stream into like a really dedicated video. And so your questions actually help shape the video that's going to be coming up next for everyone else on the stream. So I appreciate everyone who's been able to support. All that stuff has been kind of rolling into the business and kind of getting it to grow. And this has been really fun to kind of do this type of stuff. So I like this space for us to kind of hang out and talk more about this. So LCM and Q, they complement each other. This is really great. LCM is like a layer 0 that lives below the memory system. Okay, so that's really interesting. So the long context, it's there's a memory system with all the different stuff that still writes out, it sounds like, and it's still going to be able to do that. Okay, cool. So this is the retrieval tools. So LCM ships with a set of tools that give the agent structured access to the summary DAG. Okay, and the agent can inspect nodes and search across depths and summary back with messages. Okay, so yeah, this is the thing that I was also looking at as well for the Qdrant, and then the Snowflake stuff. But if I can do everything with QMD and this plugin here, then I'll be really interested. Yeah, I'm on the fence on getting 2 Sparks. You've had your several weeks. Are you using it? Yes. Yeah. So it's funny. I use it a lot for text to speech. So I installed the Qwen text to speech model, and I'll get into that a little bit later for sure. So the tool LCM Describe. Let's take a look here. So the agent first calls LCM Describe on depth 2 node. So the depth 2 node, if we talked about this a little bit earlier, is the durable narrative. So this is decisions, completed work, the milestone, and that's kind of the depth aware prompts. So depth 0 is the summary, as you can kind of see there, and then depth 1 is the arc distillation, and then depth 2 is the dual narrative. So when we get to this part for describe, it's going to be like, hey, this is a tool call, and it's going to say it returns the subtree token. So these are the different tokens. So you get depth 2 is right here, and it's going to return these, what they call subtrees, right? Summary 1 depths, right? And it returns whatever this is, the describe token probably, and the source token counts. So this will tell it like how many more nodes are in that type of thing, I guess. And a child manifests, which basically everything the agent needs to plan its retrieval strategy before spending a single token on expansion. Okay, so this is an interesting thing. You always wonder with these types of memory systems, how many more tokens you're going to be burning, trying to look up your information and get stuff back. So I'm super curious. I mean, this is really, really fascinating here. So there's LCM grep. So the grep searches every node in the DAG and raw messages and summaries alike across all depths. So returns back the labels and tell the agent where in the hierarchy a topic lives, whether it's still in raw messages, compressed into a D0 summary, or distilled all the way up in the D2 narrative. So that's an interesting tool call decision here that basically will allow some efficiency, because you're kind of like spraying all over the data structure and like, okay, these are the different areas. Okay, that's some interesting there. And it's just literally kind of like a numbers game, right? And then the expand. When a summary isn't enough, the agent calls the expand. It issues a delegation grant and a scoped authorization. So it kind of keeps that there. And it spawns a subagent to navigate the DAG directly. And then there's going to be the bounded subagent. So the subagent receives the LCM describe and a tool plus a 4,000 token budget. Rather than following the prescribed path, it plans its own traversal, inspecting the DAG structure and token costs before committing to any expansion. Sweet. We're almost kind of done with this explanation, and this is going to be a really great walkthrough of us understanding kind of what's happening underneath the hood, because it's really cool to understand how these memory systems work and what trade-offs you have. That way you don't have your OpenClaw like installed with a whole bunch of stuff kind of conflicting with each other. And, you know, kind of simpler is the better, right? You might actually remove other memory system and just stick with QMD in this one, which is, I only have QMD installed right now. And I was actually in the process of refactoring the whole thing. But now I'm going to I just go with DAG, right? With LCM. So walking the DAG. So okay, so this is about walking the focused answer and the conclusion. So here we go. The hierarchical summarization, the full fidelity recall, the bounded context, unbounded memory, read the paper. Try OpenClaw plugin or use Volt, a coding agent with LCM built in. Okay, cool. So here is the OpenClaw plugin here and the coding agent and then the lossless context. So this is the paper. If anyone wants to read the paper, this is like the actual legit paper. And if you want to check out this website that I was scrolling on, this is the website here. So it's losslesscontext.ai. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Let me kind of make this a little bit bigger here. Sweet. All right. And that's there. So we're going to try to see if we can install the plugin. So it says OpenClaw plugin. This should be here. And here we are with the plugin. All right. So it says it has this. It learns in two ways. This kind of goes over what we just covered. So to install the plugin, you just have to go to OpenClaw plugins install and just point it at this. If you're running from the, okay, so the only thing that we have to do is then just run this command in our thing. Cool. So I have a Mac Mini, and what I can do is just SSH into it, or I can just, you know, go through video and so forth. So I have, let me see if I can pull up the session here. Share screen sharing. I'm just going to connect to my Mac Mini. Let's see here. Cool. Let me just close this guy. And so let me just go ahead and see if I can connect to my Mac Mini. Let's see. I love the Mac Mini. Oh yeah, I'm running a mission. Oh yeah, this mission's crazy. This is actually going to refactor my entire code base. I'm already 129 million tokens in the cache. Oh my God, this thing's crazy. How long has this been going for? Probably like a 13 minute. No, it's been going longer than that. Okay. Let me just pop in a new window. And I think I'm just going to go to cd tilde /.openclaw. Okay. I don't need to be in here to run this command, but I can just literally, I think I just copy and paste this plugin. So this one here, okay. And I should be able to just paste that over here, right? Okay. So yeah. Okay. Hopefully I don't get a virus, but then you'll see me get a virus. Okay, let's go. No. Okay, let's see here. All right, let me kind of get this over here. Okay. Once suspicious code patterns run open. Okay, what the heck is this, bro? Okay, so what did it do now? So it installed a package, config overwrite. Okay. Plugins install, restart the gateway to load the plugins. Okay, so I want to learn about this OpenClaw security audit. Let's do that deep. Let's go deep, y'all. Go deep, fam. Okay. Let's see. Yo. Okay. So what happened? The X API contains dangerous code patterns. This is a skill that I made for myself. I should probably fix those. Okay, reverse proxy headers are not trusted. If you expose the control okay, I don't. Telegram allow lists with configured group targets. Okay, so the unpinned plugin. Oh, there's an unpinned plugin. Okay, so the specs to this package for higher security. So okay, so there is it's just a warning about the plugin, so it's not pinned. So what ends up happening is that like if they're, for example, if the repo gets taken over by some hacker, what they'll do is they'll bump the version and they'll say, here's my new, secret code or something like that. And then, whenever you're doing a command or it's doing an update on itself, it'll grab the latest package and that could have the malicious code. So by pinning it means that you're just keeping that specific package version. And so anytime you reinstall the package or do any update, unless you specifically tell it to bump the version or say, keep these types of version numbers, and you're going to basically just always keep that same configuration all the time until you tell the system to update it. So it's kind of like going to your like update system and saying, never update until I tell you to, type of thing. It's a warning, so it's not like actually not really like a security issue. It's just telling you about what's going on. So yeah, this is the unpinned stuff. The pin install specs to exact versions. Okay, cool. Run OpenClaw status to be debug auth. Okay, cool. So I think I'm just going to do OpenClaw gateway restart. OpenClaw. So once I've installed it now, OpenClaw gateway restart. Oh, no sound. Thanks for the expansion. Do you have a, when you say no sound, what does that mean? I don't think there should be sound. Like the audio is coming through for me. I see it in the little thing here that's dancing on the live stream. Okay. So yes, now that we've restarted, AI powered on the upsets. Okay, cool. So OpenClaw TUI, I think. So let me see if I can do this thing here. OpenClaw TUI. I have no clue what's going to come up, so I'm just blurring the screen. And it just probably will have stuff from my last session. Okay, cool. So, okay. I have stuff here. And then I could just do clear. Maybe new. Reset the session. Clear. Command K. Hi. Okay. Okay, cool. So I have my OpenClaw up right now, and I basically have my thinking set for adaptive, and it says, yeah, got you. Yeah, it's all good. Cool. And so we currently have the plugin installed. So I installed, and then I could just paste this thing. Whoops. The plugin for memory. Can you see it? Just curious. Let me make the font bigger too so y'all can see this. Let's see here. Running. 7 seconds, 8 seconds. I think it's good, right? Yep, I see it. Lossless Claw. Cool. This is it compacts conversation history into summaries so context doesn't get lost when the window fills up. Instead of just dropping old messages, it creates a searchable DAG of summaries. I can expand back into and what the detail. I've also got the LCM tools available, so I can research through compacted history and drill back into old conversations. One heads up from the status output is flagged as unpinned NPM spec. Not a security issue right now, but worth pinning to a specific version. I want to test it out. Yeah, let's go ahead and test this out. I don't know if that means that you have access to all the MD files, or how does that work? Oh, you know what's happening is that my Whisper flow, yeah, I'm in a remote session. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into here. That's right. So I am actually inside of my Mac Mini through screen share, and I forgot I'm on Whisper Flow on my Mac, and it keeps it around. So we'll see what's up. Let's see what's going on. 6 agents, 1 vector memory pool, what one agent learns and all of them recall. That's pretty crazy, man. For what it's worth, my Claw said QMD is not a competitor for LCM, and they would be complement each other. Yeah, that's kind of what the consensus that we were thinking here too. And so yeah, we'll see. Let's see. When an agent uses this to drill into summary and recover the original detail, how to prevent them from cascading into the context explosion? There's a budget system. Yes, so there is a budget system. When it's doing that type of thing, it says 4,000 tokens. And so it's definitely not going to go crazy. And, apparently this has like a hierarchy, and this is kind of why I'm trying it out right now. I think everything in here, by the way, is like it's all like beta software, and this is what Pete Steinberger says is kind of like a playground. So we're all kind of discovering this stuff in real time, and I don't know. I like to be on the pioneer / cutting edge, and I feel like with these agents, we can kind of break things, and then you can see me suffer, right? No. I mean, I like to actually update every day. That's kind of the type of person I am. If it means I have to spend more time doing something, I think I value the learning that I get from that I can carry forward for the next day. So that's kind of why I'm a little more YOLO than most people, as far as like taking these steps forward. But I appreciate that. What are some of the things I should set up as soon as my OpenClaw's up for working for the best way? Rishabish, so on. So one of the things that I think you could set up is just figure out a process that you do all the time and just start with that, saying, I do this all the time. How can we, whatever, like automate this? So I can tell you to do this the next time, and then if you are starting to run a business, like how can you set it up to kind of repeat that process over and over? That's kind of this part. My bot is hanging on waiting for me to say it can install while I wait. That's awesome, man. Okay, so let me poke around what has access to, okay? So LCM, it incurred with no such table conversations, which means the database exists but hasn't been populated yet, okay? LCM needs to actually compact some conversations before it has data for search. It's installed and running and it's fresh, but we'll need to keep talking and context compaction happens. LCM will start automatically. Okay, cool. So it looks like it's just kind of starting from whenever you install it going forward. And the memory search is what's been working all along. So I found the flywheel content. Okay, so like this is cool. This is something that I spoke about earlier. And I also made a dream cycle for those who are wondering. So there are two different systems. The QMD searches your memory files plus session transcripts on disk, and this already has everything. And the LCM captures compacted conversations that would otherwise get lost and filled up. And it needs time to accumulate data. So they complement each other. So QMD is the long-term memory, and LCM saves the data in conversation detail that gets squeezed out during compaction. So the LCM database should start populating after the session gets the next compaction. Want me to check back in later? Okay, this is really, really cool. So this is really awesome. I did this months ago for OpenClaw, but it's my agent harness, and it actually goes a layer deeper. The agent decides what agent cycle depends on what step and auto, so it doesn't need fresh trails. So Arbor Studio, if you can give some more details, do you have like something that's open source that we can take a look at? I'm really curious. I use this QMD and QDront with custom skill my Claw created to blend awaited results into one memory response. I'm also curious about this. One of my problems right now is like I like to work in projects. So I recently just set up inside of my OpenClaw in Telegram is the ability for my agent to work in groups. So if you work in a group setting, you just put into a group chat, and you can actually make your OpenClaw talk in a group chat, and you just give it that specific group ID. All I did is tell my OpenClaw to set this up, and then you can enable topics. So the topics thing is now what I would normally do in Claude. In Claude, I would typically start a new project and everything pertaining to that project. For example, I always do titles and descriptions for all my live streams. So every time I go back to that specific topic now, all I have to do is talk about it. I just set one up for the Nebius hackathon. So that's an interesting thing that I'm working on there. So I want to research things and keep all that stuff specific to that topic just in there. So that way I don't have to scroll up in the chat and go back to that section. And this is part of the like kind of perfect timing for this whole memory system to come into play, because now I'll have things already organized in my Telegram as far as what those topics and stuff look like, but then be able to go back and have like, give some context to the agent. So let me see if I can pull up the group chat here and kind of see if I can show you anything as far as like these sessions. I don't know if I can open a new window, maybe. Okay, cool. So this is kind of what it looks like. And so, yeah, I'll show you here. Cool. So in Telegram, when you have these topics, I guess you can kind of see them here. It says general Nebius hackathon. So now I have a hackathon one, and I basically told it to create a project folder. And so in the project folder here, what's really cool is now stuff that's related to this Nebius hackathon is going to now write files and README stuff inside of there. And so the event is going to tell me about the event details and like what's going to be happening here. And so what's great is now I can start doing research and doing stuff in here. And this is just going to stay in this little topic. And if I wanted to go to a different topic, this is like the general stuff. This is just generally like what's going on. So this is just kind of like me just chatting in a general chat. And this is just still a group chat, by the way. And then this will just show you all of them. So if you want to see like a different topic, I can create one here. And then if I wanted to create a new topic, I would go back here and I think I would just hit like, is it right click new topic up here? Yeah, create topic. So I would create a new topic and I'll say like, let's go ahead and talk about whatever it is. And then, you know, memory systems or things, or like you have real estate you manage, anything that's personal to your life that you want to always go back to as far as a topic, you can do it this way. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because I'm always on the move, always on the go. I'll probably have one related to weight loss. I'll probably have one related to, you know, like, or like not weight loss / fitness goals. And then I'll probably have some related to like my channel and statistics and conversations between that. So that way things are more organized. And then with this also this LCM plugin, what's promising is that fact that like in that one topic, I can just go on forever and it'll have everything I need already organized in that conversation. So that way, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, let me ask it about the group chats real quick. So how does this work when doing the group chats with Telegram? I'm just curious. Yeah. I would say LCM is more of a current context management system. Yes. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over time, right? So yeah. Hey, how's it going, man? We're totally vibing today. We're trying to vibe with memories, man. Trying to make our memories amazing. So we'll see here. So it says the DM with you, and then it's all a shared workspace. And so the conversation, so when you riff about a hackathon, memory files are the bridge between sessions. So if something matters across context, it needs to be in a file. And so from one session to another, so how, what's this? Okay. So what's shared across all the sessions are the memory, the soul, the agents, the user, and the tools. So all the tools and all the other stuff makes sense. And when I riff on a topic, it won't have context. So for LCM, without LCM, LCM works per session, and here's the flow. So with multiple sessions, DM and topics, each session compacts independently. LCM captures compactions from each separately. Okay, so think of okay, so it looks like each technical thread or topic is like a session. And so are sessions tied to topics in the group chat? I'm loving this candid OpenClaw's stream too. Yeah. Not seen. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, this is actually what I do for everything in my life, right? Like I've been doing this for AI coding. If you watch my original video from like 2024 in August, where I'm playing with Cursor and making an app live, like I was actually one of the first people to make apps live. I made an app live in Cursor, I was actually the first like vibe coder along with like AJ from what do you call it? My friend, tech friend, AJ, who currently works at Augment Code. We were just vibing, and I was like, I'm just gonna turn on a live stream and just code live. So like in July he was coding, and then I was coding, and then I was like, I think I can make an app live. And somebody said like, I want to make a transcription app. And so I one prompted that, but you know, my big deal was like setting up prompts. And I learn as I go. So this is kind of what I do. If y'all like this, just subscribe and hang out, because we go through these things and we're probably early on a lot of stuff before it kind of hits the mainstream. And that's how, like, you know, I was talking to my buddy Alex Finn. We connected way back then, and, you know, we started doing local hardware, and we talk a lot. So by the way, I'm going to be hanging out with Alex Finn on Monday at the NVIDIA GTC event, and I'll be IRL streaming. So I'll have my phone right here is going to be IRL streaming, and we're going to walk into the big keynote. So anyone will see or whatever, we're going to have like special access. We're going to be basically walking in. And then afterwards, we're going to do an OpenClaw setup thing after the event. So we're going to talk about what happened in the keynote and then go into the OpenClaw setup stuff and talk about getting that stuff set up in the Spark. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, stay tuned in. This is really cool. I do IRL streaming. I do like AI coding live. I just mess around live. Yo, what's going on, Foul Reaper? I also give out tokens. I'm the giver of tokens. If you were here Thursday, y'all could have slept on $200 max plan from Factory AI. Y'all could have been cooking with me right now. Ray in chat, what time is it going to be? It will be, I think it takes place at 11. So I might go live at like 10 or 9. So yeah, for sure, man. Turn on those notifications. You know what I should do is I should actually vibe code and set up a mission. Let's do that right now. After this, I have a couple of agenda items to get through, but we're gonna add that to the bonus section there because we're talking about Chrome. So another thing after this memory thing is to set up Chrome. You can get your OpenClaw to drive Chrome, and now your browser is gonna think it's you. It's not gonna be this CAPTCHA stuff, because what happens is there's a driver that gets installed and it gets enabled when you're like running the Chrome. And so they send that signal to whatever website you're going. And a lot of these sites just pick it up and look for that filter. And they're like, yep, that's a headless browser. Nope, you're not going to do things. So if you're running on a Mac Mini, or this can't work in a VPS, but it works. It can work in a VPS if you set up a node, but you need a machine that actually has a browser that you can run it on. Hence the Mac Mini. But once you have one machine, then other machines on VPSs can then access that machine's browser. So FYI. We'll get into that next with the latest Chrome update that lets it drive it. So that's what's up. So make sure you stay locked in for that. Oh man, let's go. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's see our group topic, no topic in that group. Okay, so each topic gets appended, making it a unique session. So Nebius Hackathon topic gets its own session, its own context, and the general topic. So transcripts are also separate. So has its own JSON-L. So if you create a topic per topic, each one gets its own clean, isolated workspace. I share the same brain, but each topic gets its own conversation in its own history. So that's exactly the setup you were working for whole new sessions. Each topic gets a dedicated channel. Okay, cool. So, so LCM would not work between different chats. I'm just curious. Thanks to you, Factory AI, again for the 200 million free tokens. Yeah. Not in the Discord. It was actually on a live stream. So it was part of the live stream event on Thursday. VPS homers will slowly raise the VPS limitations and kneel to the local hardware. Dude, it's going to be crazy, man. It's so crazy. Yeah. Let's see. Correct. By default, each session compaction gets stored separately in LCM, but LCM tools have all conversations flagged. So LCM grep will search across all sessions. Oh, this is interesting. This is really cool to know. So this is kind of what I was curious about. If you have group chats inside of your OpenClaw, right, that it's talking inside of it, technically you can find it when it's doing a grep, right? So this is kind of where you'll be able to get all the information. So the data's there, just scoped per session by default. So each can cross when needed. And the practical flow is that you're in a hackathon topic. What was the rental comp data we looked at? I run LCM, all conversations, rental comp. It finds compacted data in our DM. I expand upon it and give you the answer. That's actually really, really cool. So an advantage of this is, like, for example, like I'm talking in one topic inside of, like hackathon stuff, but then I need something from a different thing that I'm looking at in the health and fitness stuff, right? So like I want to pull some of that stuff in. All I just have to do is just talk about it. And because the LCM plugin is already there, it's going to go find it for us, which is going to be really cool, and pull in that thing and pull in the reference stuff for the conversation. I see why Pete Steinberger recommended this whole thing. So that's really, really cool. So we just basically just got the stuff set up for LCM, and this is recommended by Pete Steinberger. This is like cool stuff. If you got the stock memory feature, and if it isn't great, check out QMD, which we got set up. I have a different video on that. That's already a live stream that's on there. If you want to see like a full on like 0 to QMD plus Lossless Claw, let me know. I'll drop it in the comments if you're watching this as a video on demand later on. If you're watching this live right now, just go ahead and drop a comment. And then I'll make a dedicated video for that just to go from zero. It should take you like 3 minutes or less. But in this live stream, we spent a little bit more time talking about what is the LCM system. And if you're watching this later on, there's going to be timestamps that goes over these topics down below. So that way you can go back on the live stream. All of my live streams are powered by raytranscribes.com. So Ray Transcribes is something that I made. This is my first vibe coded app. I was telling you in 2024. We literally made this live, all of us. And I showed you the prompts and everything we used to make it. And that's kind of what ended up happening. The big reason why I created as a content creator is because a lot of my transcripts had misspellings in them, and I was really just annoyed by what was happening. And then I also needed something to do my content creation. When you run a local model to do like the Whisper V3 large, it can take a very long time, even with a good beefing machine, to do this. And people who are running PCs, God bless you, needed a solution as well. So I made this as a way to do that, and started giving this to podcasters to use this. It's really, really cool. But the other thing that I've really included in here is the ability for you to do timestamps. So timestamps are extremely good, and I have this like multi-layered step prompt that will actually analyze the actual audio content and then set up markers for those types of things. So if you're doing like, while this is geared towards content creators, this also works for people who are like taking calls at a call center. If you're like trying to analyze different things, if you're actually making educational content, if you want to figure out what's going on in there. So yeah, you'll see all of my live streams going back now have timestamps and chapters. And part of what I'm working here in one of my droids missions is to do a refactor. And so I already have a CLI working, but it was like slop coded in. So I'm literally just throwing out half the code and re-architecting it. And I just gave it to the missions to do the transcription, to refactor the entire code base. So this mission is still running, and it's literally just re-architecting everything. So if you want to show, I could show you a little bit of the architecture a little bit later. So that would be what's up. But yeah, please make that dedicated video. Okay, cool. That's cool. I feel like my OpenClaw is dumb, and I don't use the Claude, Sonnet, or Opus models with thinking. So I think, yeah, the OpenClaw, it'd be interesting to see kind of what you're doing. If y'all want to also join in the Discord, I got the Discord link as well. We can probably chat more about it in there. And there's also some other folks who have the OpenClaw set up. So definitely check it out if you haven't had a chance. So another thing we talked about was lossless models. Let's see. Okay, so this is the paper if you're interested in that. Okay. So we have that. We have so this is pretty easy. To install it, it's literally just one line. Nothing fancy. You just do this plugin install, it'll install it, you do the gateway restart, you come back, and then we just basically start building memories from here on forward, which is really cool. And so in most cases, no manual JSON edits are needed, so it's already done. And then here's the plugin config if we want to do this by hand. So if we want to like make our trail count a little bit different, remember how they said 4, they were showing us an example for 4. You can make it longer. For example, if you have lots of long in-depth conversations that you still want to keep fresh, you can change that there. You can change the context threshold too. So at 75%, it's going to do this like context compaction thing. So you can change that, but that's the default for now. These are the other parameters you can tune out. So like, or tune in. So just so that you can be aware with it, minimum raw message per leaf summary. Like you generally don't need to tweak these things, but if you have any questions, you can point your OpenClaw at this GitHub repo and say, can you tell me more about these types of things? I'm having issues with you remembering stuff still, even after we've been having these conversations. And what parameters should we tune or change so that we can make it better at memorizing the stuff, right? So yeah, yelling at your OpenClaw may not make it better. And then here's some useful values. So OpenClaw session resets, that's really cool. Select the summarization model is good too. Okay. Wow, this is really cool. Summarization. Okay. LLM large file summary provider. So you can override the large file for some. Okay, yeah. So if you have a different open model, but you want to maybe use Opus for the summarizing or GPT-4, 5.4, you can use that too. Yeah, that's really cool. Maybe get, you probably want a smarter model, especially with long context to reason through it. And you can probably benchmark it too. I think that'd be really cool. I use Minimax Coding Plan as my main. and it's doing a good job for me. It might mess up here and there, but it's 90%. Yeah, and it's cheap. I mean, that's really, really good, man. Yeah, check summary model. Yeah. Uh, summary model. Yeah. Yeah, this is really cool. So they use, oh, Claude Sonnet. Okay. Oh, okay. 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 Yo, come. I like how you come through with these things, man. That's super handy, actually, you know? That's super handy. Okay. So that's cool. So the other thing that we wanted to get into as a bonus section. So this is our bonus section. Bonus. What up, Ray? What's up? What's your thoughts on OpenClaw versus Claude Cowork? Claude Cowork has a different space for me right now. Claude Cowork is something I'm kind of vibing with right now for taxes. And Claude is really good at Excel, which is kind of cool. And a lot of my accountants use Excel. So that's kind of why I'm starting to vibe right now with Claude Cowork. And I literally like threw it in like all of my like American Express statements. I threw in like a lot of Excel like data. So like the CSVs. And then what's crazy about the Claude Cowork thing is that it asked me for the PDFs from my AMX. So like it also wanted those. And so from there, it was able to figure out what the different carryovers are and if there's any other fees that get added that aren't in the CSV file. And Claude Cowork just went to work. And the thing I like about Claude Cowork right now, especially for taxes, is that it's basically one giant container and it's sitting there and you're just kind of working on that same project over and over again. And so that's kind of the way I'm thinking about Claude Cowork right now. I know that like that data is kind of in this secure space. And mind you, I can also do this in OpenClaw, but I haven't tried it heuristically in terms of like, it's to me, I think of Claude Cowork and Claude Code as the same thing in my mind as a mental like thing. So if you think about Claude Code, you would create a new folder like you would a GitHub project, right? And then you would point your, Claude Code, your Droid, anything that has access to an Opus model. But you can also use GPT 5.4. GPT 5.4 is really good. It's a phenomenal model. And this is like I'm gonna try both actually. What's all the prompts that I'm doing? I'm actually kind of doing them side by side. But as of right now, I need to really get my taxes done. So I'm using Claude Cowork right now to like literally get all the analysis and then get all the. I have a Notion spreadsheet that has all my previous taxes and categorization and all the different things. So the cool thing about Notion is basically just a dumping ground for receipts. I just put all the receipts in there and it stores them automatically. I don't need a Dropbox or anything like that. It's literally just take a picture, boom, it goes into Notion, and then Notion has all these things, and then I can extract them, just by pointing it. Because at the end of the day, when you export the database in Notion, it's a CSV file too. So I could just put that in Claude Cowork. But the latest thing that just happened, and this is kind of what I'm really excited about Notion's new AI system, especially for the different tasks, is all the stuff that I'm doing in Cowork can now just live in Notion, which is where my data is anyways. So it's crazy. And then you can also import your emails and get different things going in from Notion. So like if I have receipts and certain things that come in, I can set up rules. So they would go there, and I could also set up other rules inside of American Express that would basically get, my little files and statements, and almost like cron jobs, right? They would grab them, download them, and do that type of thing. So a lot of different possibilities here. I think from an accounting perspective, it's really scary how good these models are at accounting. It's kind of simple. It's just math. And you have to know rules and regulations and law. But like for what I need to give to my accountant, it's just like, here's all the data. How do you as an accountant want to see the data? Because that's what they would tell me. And then I would just restructure it for them. They're like, oh, thank you for doing that. It's so helpful. It's like, yes, I want to make their job easier so that they can process me first above everyone else. And that's the power that we have right now for doing that. So yeah. Doing both personal and corporate tax. I don't have a corporation. I just have an LLC. So I imagine for corporation, I would just give this to an accountant on my corporation and say, use Claude Cowork. Ask me questions. Let's sit down and show me your workflow. And then I'll show you where I can add the AI for it. So the Discord link, I'll give you the Discord link. https://rfr.me/discord. And so I also have this pinned to the top of the that thing there. So if you click that, that should take you to here. Okay, cool. So yeah, So this is the Discord link to join what I call like the Builders Lab. And this is kind of where we're hanging out. You know, any PRDs, live stream. I have some skills files and stuff as well in my Discord. So you can go check those out. And little like kits and things like that. So yeah, just come hang out. This is a cool place to be. That's what we're doing. Let's see, anything else I got. I don't even have to pay taxes because there are certain things in the tax regime that I can use. Yeah, dude, that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff right now going on in accounting land, which is really awesome. So one of the things I also wanted to show y'all is this Chrome thing, which is kind of mind-boggling right now. So in Chrome, to set this up with OpenClaw, I'll show you real quick. Let's see. Let me just go back to here and then go back to over here and say, okay, what was the Chrome URL that I need to enable for debug mode or something in the latest update? Put this up here. So once you inspect debugging, I think this is it. In Chrome, switch on and I can attach to your browser session. Okay, so this is the mode. As long as you update to the latest version in OpenClaw, can you give me the release notes for OpenClaw that talk about this? Okay, so I'm just telling my OpenClaw to tell you. So if you do OpenClaw space TUI, this is how you can actually talk to it instead of talking to it through Telegram. And so you can talk to it through the terminal. Because I'm literally on the Mac Mini where it's running, that's kind of why I'm able to do this, which is pretty fun. So this is the release in the PR, and this is harden existing driver session validation lifecycle. So okay, so we open. In order for you to do this, basically you inspect Chrome remote debugging, enable remote debugging, and in Chrome keep Chrome running and approve the connection prompt when OpenClaw attaches. And once you do that, like the X post that announced it. In this way, it says live Chrome session attach, real logins, 1 toggle, 0 extensions. So that's the profile equals user driver. And with a driver using existing session and transport Chrome MCP, no extension is needed. So you no longer need an extension in Chrome for you to do these things. And so it's just the Chrome toggle. And this is crazy because here's the release URL. Yeah, let's go take a look at this. This is bonkers, absolute bonkers. So this is the release that as the 2026 to 3.13. And then if you just do, oh, sorry, this is, you don't paste the Chrome link in Safari. All right. So let me go back to the Chrome here and then you go here. So yeah. And so this will allow for the remote debugging to happen. Make sure you check this. And it's going to be like, yes, I could do it. And it's going to be cool. I can run this on localhost port 9222. And this is from the latest update. Yeah. So this is here. And if you get this OpenClaw update 3.2. Whatever it is, just say update my OpenClaw to the latest version. So this is the actual latest version right now. And this is currently available. So what this is going to do now is anything that you're logged into, whatever, it's going to behave just like it is. So right now I can say, can you open Chrome and run a speed? No. Can you open Chrome and go to Vercel's website? Oh, go to eBall. I want to go to my soccer game. So we should be able to play live. That'd be fire. Let's see. Why is it taking so long? Okay. Chrome isn't running on the Mac Mini right now. You need to. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Sick. Sick. Cool. Let's start the game. And so I'm basically, it'd be interesting if I could tell my actual agent to play the game with me live. We're gonna go into like mobile mode, right? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. This is actually really fun. Let's go. I'm gonna play a soccer game that I made with my AI agent. Chrome isn't running. Okay, it is running. Yeah. So your Chrome was closed. Okay, it looks good. Let's start the game. Yeah. Let's play the game right now. I'm gonna play on my phone. This is fire right now. Let's go. All you have to do is scan this code or just go to yeeball.com. And then once you go to yeeball.com, you'll be able to join in the game. Okay. You're on the OpenAI team. I'm gonna go to Anthropic team, Ray. So yeah, I'm waiting for the host. So I also love that the teams are named OFTOP. Isn't that funny? Okay, cool. So if you guys go there, we should be able to see, because this is a live match right now. Ray, you're in, Ray. Oh, so it already knows that I joined the game. I'm playing a game with my OpenClaw right now. Let's go. Yo, this is crazy. Match started. I want to see if it can play. It's like, yo, can you play? You're just stuck there. I'm going to tell it, yo, can you play? You are stuck there. This is fire. This is fire. Let's go. Let's see. By the time I process the move, the ball's already on the other side of the field. I'll be the worst teammate. It's okay. Just move. You're playing. It is okay. Just move around. I'm just curious to see if it's going to move around. Let's see. Oh, this is too fun. This is kind of wild, actually. Bro, the AIs are too good right now. It says, all right, let me try WASD to kick. See, there he is. See, there's the player. He moved a little bit. Okay. This is funny. Let's see. Wow. Damn, this is crazy. Wow. Let's go. Oh my gosh, this is nuts. So it even keeps track of the score. I think it's really crazy that, like, I wonder if it's going to move at all. Let's go. Can I want to make this game maybe a little bit bigger. That way you all can see this. This is wild. Let's see. What's insane is, like, real time. Do you guys notice any lag? I don't have any lag at all on my side. This is kind of crazy that I'm literally playing the game live. Yo, this is nuts. This is nuts. Wow. Wow. Okay, cool. So now we got that going. I'll get the brain rot over here. I'll move the brain rot to the side. Okay. So, like, bro, what the heck? You need to cook. I'm just really curious. Tell it to twitch in front of the goal and block the goal. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. Why don't you out in front of the goal to prevent people from scoring? That is so good, actually. I'm injecting keyboard events directly now, running up and down while kicking. Okay. I'm lagging, but in France. Dang. This is crazy. Yeah, just tell them to figure out how to real-time control. Maybe. Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah. It's working. Am I blocking anything? No. See if you can figure out a something in real time. I'm just really curious. I'm the goal key. I was lagging so hard, but I'm in from India. Yeah, I'm really curious how the infrastructure for the server stuff works, you know, right? So here we are. Bam. Let's see if I can get this ball stolen. Ooh. So let's see. I found the canvas. Now I'm sending key events directly, twitching left, right for 32 seconds. The problem is I can't see the ball position. The game renders in the canvas. At least am I moving now? You did, but you can take a screenshot and see where you need to move and for how long, right? Damn. I probably shouldn't be using Opus for this, by the way. I probably should be using like Sonnet for this, like communication to like control the game, you know? Like this is kind of insane actually. Like, or I should make it like a soccer skill game so I could play soccer with my actual bot. Actually, that's kind of fire. That's what I'll do. I'll actually make a skill so that I could play soccer with like that you can also play soccer too. So if I make a skill that can like actually have your bots join in and then all the bots can start playing with each other. Oh, that's kind of fire actually. I want to ask, when you think when you think humanity will achieve operating systems like the ones shown in the movie Her, um, I don't. I think it's gonna go a little bit differently, to be honest. I think the special part of like us being humans and being here right now is the fact that we control what's happening in real time. And so whenever you think about something, it's like a quantum thing, right? So you're actually magnifying and grabbing other things and attracting them to your own world. And so like in some ways we're kind of making like AI systems came from this system that we're already a part of, if you know what I mean. It's sort of meta, but it is kind of like that. So everyone has a control, right? Like the fact that I'm wanting to bring this video game into existence happened because I was thinking about it. And then it just so happens that like this AI system was also available. So I use that to make this, right? I don't have any coding experience, like as far as like making games or front end web stuff. But that is like what that's kind of like what we ended up like doing and stuff like that, right? So like I don't know. Like I feel like there's a couple ways to think about this, and one is like you own control, which you probably should be doing. And this is what people like on X like to say is like agency, that you have the control for everything. And then the other part of it is like you give up your control. So if you are consuming any type of content or doing things where people are encouraging you to give up your control, you probably want to get rid of that from your life. And then, you know, get rid of any drama, get rid of anything like that's going to just entertain you away from not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and start to take control of your stuff. It's a different way of thinking to wake up every day and to be really focused and say, I'm going to be doing this type of thing. Because it's kind of like a muscle thing. You have to keep exercising it and keep working at it. People will try to throw you off on your thing, but I would just say, don't let them. Sometimes that will happen, but just get back up and just build stronger. It's kind of my messaging, you know? I always like to keep things positive, and I feel like that's the kind of movement that you should be just taking ownership, doing your thing. Stuff will happen. Just keep moving forward. You know what I mean? So that's what's up. Okay, so yeah, this is the whole thing. So okay, cool. So this is basically how your OpenClaw now, just if you update to the latest update, 3.13, you can now have your OpenClaw control your browser. But like you don't need a plugin anymore. This is like completely like built in, and it's using it through like the MCP call, I think, like that. And so this is going to be basically what makes your browser feel native. And so this is great because if you're doing stuff like, you know, go to Zillow.com, and look up listings in Oahu. Whoops. Oh yeah. Go to Zillow.com and look up rentals in Oahu. I'm just really curious. So Zillow, I would encourage you to, once this gets set up, watch the OpenClaw, because Zillow's going to start to throw up, like certain websites will throw up these pop-up blockers. And one of the things that they'll do is they'll say, press and hold this button. And that's how they're going to try to see if you're a bot or not. So for a couple websites that you're really interested in, or stuff that you go and get lots of data on, make sure you do that, because Zillow threw that up for me. And I want to have this available, because if they start to like fingerprint your machine and they figure out your machine is like being controlled by a bot, then they'll probably like keep you're like, okay, we already know this machine. We already know what the details of this machine are. This guy's running a Mac, and this is, you know, like they create these fingerprints about you, and they'll basically, you know, in essence, try to ban your IP or where you're coming from and what region. So, you know, your IP tends to stay the same for the most part from the provider. So if they notice the same IP has like the same type of browser and same fingerprint, see, here we go. See, it says, before we continue, press and hold. This is exactly the thing that they try to do. So, right, your bot can't do that for you, right? You could, but then they're going to try to change it up on you. So this is me pressing and holding to train to train Zillow to say my machine's safe. This is kind of weird. You have to do this. They're going to probably save a cookie, you know. But a lot of times, what they'll do is that they'll try to look at your browser and they'll see, okay, are you like, how did this person even get to this website? And a lot of times, as you can see, it usually just gets you directly to a very specific URL. And a lot of times humans don't get to those. You don't type that into your web browser naturally and just go to it, right? So that's kind of why they're like, this looks suspicious. Let me just throw up this little button. And that's kind of what they'll do. So looks like it won't press and hold that if it's in a mobile view. That's interesting. Oh, so if I go to like mobile view, that's if I is it inspect console? Developer console, right? And if I do sources console, I think it's this one, right? So if I go from responsive, I do iPhone Pro Max. Okay. Can you see this? See the screen now? Yeah, it didn't show up until you made the screen bigger. Oh, I see what you mean. I think that's just part of how it works. Yeah, it's still controlling it. That's an interesting thing, File Reaper, about this. Like, what if I just use like it in this mode? Okay, it's like I noticed that it popped up a window for pressing to hold when I was on desktop view. Is that something you'll be able to see and help with? I'm just curious. Can my lobster figure this out in the future? You know what I mean? That'd be really curious. Yeah. Huh. Have you seen how people have been talking Karpathy's research project and using it to make self-improving skills? Like maybe set it up where your OpenClaw can get an AI session. Yeah, so this is something that I want to dive deeper on. I saw like there's a couple of things that I see happening whenever like a Karpathy tweet happens. And this is kind of where like I'm getting a little bit tired of the slopfest mess. Is like the first implementation I saw is people converting it to like Apple's MLX. So they literally just went to Claude Code and just say convert this to MLX. And because I've used that framework before, and I built a LLM from scratch using Apple's MLX, I was just really curious to see how they did the conversion and how thorough it was, and whether they were actually like agentically engineering this correctly. And I just started to review everything. It was just littered with tons of like incorrect translations, right? So there's a lot of little nuances. Like if you're multiplying something, with like 8-bit by 16 or something, and you're assuming a certain value is going to get carried over, it will actually, the framework behaves in a different way than like what you're doing when you're programming like a GPU, with CUDA and so forth. And so, like even like that's what was really interesting, because the code is really tiny. There's like not that many lines of code. But you also have to see what the code is doing and then what the MLX framework is doing at the same time to really correctly translate it. You can throw an LLM to do it and it'll do probably 80% of the task. But people just like start to do it. And then what's crazy is that like Karpathy actually said, hey, this is a notable fork of MLX. And I was like, no, bro, like there's a bunch of issues right now on it. But I don't think people are like reading through the code. And I don't mind, but like whenever you're having a model that can self-train, it just doesn't take very long as a human to kind of read through and spend like 15 minutes, working through the framework and like really trying to like at least get the agent to be in a direction where it can actually self-improve with the correct hardware and whatever it's running on. So like then I'm starting to see everyone else kind of do different things with it, which is really, really cool. And I'm trying to figure out like, are they just doing this to get attention, or are they doing it like to actually self-improve? And then do they actually know what's being improved and like what specific things are being improved about it, right? Like, is it just improving model weights or is it in doing other types of things? So after like those first types of things that I started to review the code on, and I was like taking a look at it, it's like, there are other bigger fish to fry right now. And then I think I'm going to take a look at that probably later, like next week or so. And I was focusing more on the OpenClaw stuff because I've been really interested, and I was really interested right now in memory. It's like memory is a big issue for me. And this is kind of why I want to have the Lossless Claw set up, which we got set up in one line. It was pretty fast, and learn a little bit more about that type of system. Also, like this Chrome thing is super important, especially because I do a lot of research. So besides having access to Exa, MCP, so I use Exa AI. So this is really cool because basically this is, to me, it's like a better Google, if you know what I mean. It's super clean. You can scrub through like data, like code bases super fast. You can scrub through like discords and stuff crazy fast. There's so much good data, especially for coding related tasks and planning. And this is part of the reason why I use Exa. And then I use, what is the other? I don't even have the Brave search set up. I use Exa. Benchmark toe to toe. This goes against Exa versus Brave benchmarks. You'll see. Oh no, I hate those things. So Exa 2.0 is faster, excels in agentic searches, and the best use case is superior for RAG and research agents going deep, requiring deep comprehension. So yeah, there's also the deep search that Exa has. And then if you're in my Discord, I actually have a skill for this. So I have a skill file. Let me see if I can pull it up right now real quick. So in my Discord here, we have the skills. So I have a skills section in my Discord here. And the one I have here is App Architect, Rhetorical Analyzer. Oh, it's an OpenClaw. So if I go to OpenClaw, I'll put this in a dedicated, I'll do OpenClaw skills. That would probably be easier to find. So in my Discord over here, skills. Okay, OpenClaw. And then if I go to the pin messages, in my pin messages, I believe I have a skill in here. So this is my memory skill. I have the memory optimizer skill. Okay, cool. Yeah, here we go. I have this Exa skill. So this skill will basically have all the Exa stuff in there from Exa code, Exa answer, and all that stuff. And they'll define whenever you're using Exa, what specific script it needs to run, whether it's Exa code or Exa research, and it's going to call the right API for that. And so all I do is just tell my, OpenClaw to do whatever, and it's going to automatically use the skill. So I don't have Brave enabled. I just use the skill that I created, and that's available inside the Discord, so you can get that as well. Eventually, I'll open source it or something like that. But right now, all my members should be able to get access to this stuff because I feel like y'all are definitely supporting the whole movement here and kind of down with what we're doing here. So yeah, that's what's up. I forked Chromium and gave AI access to direct shared memory. Damn! Dropping the beta next week. That's crazy, bro. That's so crazy. OpenClaw controlling Chrome could be useful for a web version of Discord. That's an interesting one. I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, it's anything. It's anything. It basically sees whatever you're seeing. So that's what we got here. So this is OpenClaw 2e. I'm gonna go ahead and exit that thing. And then this is my mission to for the CLI to rewrite itself. It's been going for 6 hours. I'm literally just rewriting the whole thing. So I'll show you a little bit of what's going to be going on with that, because we've already covered the Chrome thing. We've already covered LCM. And if you're watching, if you just tuned in, we talked about the Lossless Claw stuff earlier in the chat. And so there's going to be timestamps available, so you can always go back. And then we basically went through and covered this whole website. This was recommended from Pete Steinberger. Whatever he says, he recommends something, it's always a good idea to pay attention. If you haven't had a chance to follow, make sure you definitely follow him, because he'll, basically tell you everything that's kind of really happening on that project. I think of this as like an operating system, and I think this is going to be really important to kind of stay on top of these things. But I think this is going to fix a lot of problems with different memory stuff. So that's that. And then if I took Cursor, so in Cursor, I'll show you a little bit of my memory architecture slop that I was really struggling with. So I have 2 different plans. So I have a app that I also made a CLI for. And what ended up happening is I have a lot of repetitive code in different places, which I don't like. And so what I wanted to do is kind of update my data flow, because my CLI hits a couple different endpoints. And then my web UI that I have up here also does its own thing with Clerk, but it hits similar things. And then I have different names for stuff. And I've realized that my code base has gotten so big that I kind of really need to refactor everything so that all the concepts and stuff are together. All code is kind of in some reusable place. Components can kind of get thinned down too. And there's a lot of other stuff that I want to continue to add tests on. And I don't want to slow myself down when I start adding more features. So I kind of want to have now that I have a working prototype, people are actually paying me money. I've also been hesitant to literally just refactor everything, because there's just a lot of different stuff that's going on for every feature that I've shipped that people are using. So I have a cloud flow, I have a local flow, I have these different flows that I'm going through. So I basically sat down inside of Cursor and I ran the /console command. So with the re-architecture plan, basically what I did first was just start to explore my code base and figure out, saying I want to do a refactor. After I did that, what I did is I got 2 different plans, one from Opus and one from GPT-5, and I combined them together. And I said, I put these 2 here. Here are the 2 plans that I need you to need more scrutiny per And then I gave them the different chats that I had inside of Cursor, right? Because each of the chats have a context from what happened in that chat and while the research was done. And so I just told it to use the GPT 5.4 extra high fast. And then that conversation yielded like a lot of research in here. So it did a review for the different code bases. It launched 4 different subagents. It did some planning, and then it made a new combined spec. And this is like the new updated spec that basically covers a lot of that details that both plans really kind of covered, but it provided some more context. And so the reason why I started to do this and why it's really important to do this is that you want to set up your agents for success. So whenever you're having the agent go work through things, you want to have a lot of these decisions either covered by you or brought over by an agent to search through the code base. Some of these code bases can get really, really large. So the more time and the more effort that you spend making sure you grab the relevant files, making sure that there's no other stuff that's left unturned, it does require a lot of token burn. And so you can do these with different models. You don't always have to use the higher end model to do those like searching types of tasks. And so if you're clever enough, you can probably spin up other models that could do that research task for you, or spin off subagents like with Composer 1.5 and just have them, really cheap model, go through the thing. Composer is extremely good from Cursor to go search through lots of files extremely fast. It's just kind of insane how fast it is. And so those are very, very helpful types of tasks to take them on and say, hey, you're helping me produce a detailed combined architecture spec. And it's like telling it exactly where to read. And I didn't have to write that prompt. This was written, from the agent itself. And so like that's the level of prompting detail that you can have, and that you have to hand off to these smaller models that are really good at very specific tasks, and they can produce and go to work for you for sure. And so they produce a lot of context. It also helped to scrub through a lot of the code base and stuff as well. And this is kind of why I'm able to get much more detailed plans. So once I have these architecture plans kind of in mind, that's kind of when now I'm able to kind of spin that up and put them inside of Droid. So I have like this like massive basically scope for a plan. And I can show you a little bit of kind of what that looks like. Let's see, this has been running for 6 hours. It's doing a whole refactor for my whole code base, which is crazy, right? So we talked a little bit about what things we wanted to verify and things like that. And so where are we at? So I'm using 4.6 for the orchestrator. I'm using 5.4 extra high for actually writing the code. And the validator is also 5.4 extra high. So that way I know I get the context and everything that I need. And if Opus, doesn't give me what I want, then there's the other sides of things that are going to be actually in place here. So if I go to workers with the W, these are all the chats that have launched off so far, 33 as of now. And you can see like the validator function here failed because of whatever it was doing. I don't know exactly what. And this is, what ends up happening is that if something failed, it sends it back to the orchestrator model. And the orchestrator model now tries to figure out, okay, what should I be doing next that I need to either add more features or add tests or whatever it needs to do. It figures itself out and it kind of continues on forward from there. So it just keeps moving up the chain there until you get stuff done. So we can see all the stuff here. So now it's actually to the point, so you can see where it started down here, where it's like trying to figure out what's happening in my code base. So what I like about this is like whenever you're doing a massive refactor, you need to audit the code, put everything out on the table, which is the most painful part. And this is what LLMs can be good at if you give them like actual instructions, right? And this is why I'm excited about missions, is because now like these refactors for really large code bases or maybe your MVP, I don't want it to be shaky anymore. I want to have some solid ground. And I want to see what the output is. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. So we're going to learn together to see, is this hype or is it just actually really good? And I've already tried like 4 or 5 missions already. It's freaking crazy. It takes a long time because everything runs serially. And the time that you're not spending tokens. You're literally just waiting for a test to run and it comes back and then you're waiting. So all that time you're not waiting. You're not paying for tokens. You're not paying for anything. You're just waiting for code that's already been written to execute and do stuff and then return back results. Which is kind of cool. And they actually say that that's actually a much more reliable way to do this types of agentic work right now in the current paradigm of things. So waiting for the email. I connected from the beginning. Hey, if you send me a DM or can get a hold of me, I will have the team take a look at that because there's a whole bunch of people who left comments and I was able to send screenshots and have people DM me. And the factory team has been taking a look at the various ones. So that's what's up. I got mine. Could have came in late, but they did run out. Yeah, but yeah, if you were there, if you were actually present for the live stream and you did sign up for the 2 different links, yeah, and you actually have an account that's active with that email, you should receive it. And if you haven't, definitely let me know, and we'll take a look there. So yeah, we can see what's happened so far. So created the job, and then it goes to the refactoring of the code, and now it's actually going to go decompose my transcript editor there, and it's going to also decompose, like take a look at my hooks, and now it's going to do run some validations up here. So as of now, we're doing some schema migration. So it's going to migrate the deprecated fields out. It's going to do some table consolidation. It's going to deprecate the code removal stuff. And now it's going to clean up my schema. So like these are very painful, super painful parts of refactoring code. And if it gets all of this, 6 hours later, or if it gets me 80% of the way there, or even 90% of the way there, or even 50% of the way there, I think it's worth the time, to be honest. Like, cause yeah. And some people can say, why don't you just rewrite it from scratch? I can, but do I want to? I'd rather live stream with y'all and play with my OpenClaw's, right? Yeah, that's what's up. Okay, cool. Bonus? Yeah, this is like the bonus feature, right? I don't know. Mission is still going, man. Holy smokes. Haven't tested it personally. We shall see. 170 million tokens since the last live stream. Dang, bro. That's crazy. Hey, File Reaper, I know you said you were working on an iOS project. There are a couple of things that I wanted to tell you about that you should know for iOS. So one of them is, shoot, I'll actually have Rudran come back onto the show. There are ways to test via MCP. Oh my God, Alex. Whoa, he's doing a Spark giveaway. Yeah, I got to follow him right now. I don't know what he's saying.
Say hello. If you're not able to attend in person, then you can register virtually. Anyway, if you register virtually or attend in person, fill out a form during the sessions next week.
Wow.
Way one of these, DGX Spark with NVIDIA. Next week is GTC in California.
Whoa, okay.
And I'll be there for a couple of days, so make sure you stop by and say hello. If you're not able to attend in person, then you can register virtually. Anyway, if you register virtually or attend in person, fill out a form during the sessions next week. Make sure you attend at least one, and fill out that form that I've linked in the video below for your chance to win.
Wow.
Hey everybody, it's Alex here, giving away one.
So I'm also going to be at GTC, and I'm bringing over my buddy Alex Finn as well. And we're going to go watch the main keynote, and we're also going to go take a look at the OpenClaw setup. So set up OpenClaw on one of these Sparks. I'm going to see if I could sweet talk them to see if they can actually do a giveaway as well. Because I see all these people doing giveaways. Like, well, I'm not doing a giveaway yet. So like, let's go see if we can get one of those figured out. Let me know if y'all want a DJX Spark. That'd be really cool. So that way we can kind of co-stream and stuff like that. That'd be so fire. That's insane. That's cool. I mean, look at that. Awesome. Definitely like this. That's so cool. So form is in the description of this YouTube video.
Well, I've got some good news.
Okay. So he's like, take me to the video, bro. Let's go.
Well, I've got some good news and some bad news.
I'm going to give you guys a form right now. So okay, what is it here? Where is this form? Try chat LLM, related videos, GitHub. I don't see the form link. Okay, to enter this giveaway, submit the form here. Okay, copy link. I'm going to put this in the chat. Y'all can have this right now. I think so. I don't know. Is that the form? Let's see. Want to leave YouTube? Yes. Go to site. Okay. Google Forms. Okay, we'll figure out the sign-in thing. I don't know. Yeah, just go to this video. This is probably the easiest way. So if you go to this video here, that's probably going to be the best way for you to go see it. And then like go to the description and fill out that form. Okay, cool. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's a no-brainer ask. I'd say I like a Spark. I don't know. Some people don't want it, you know? Like, this is just, it's cool. This is cool, scary, but I was going to break your code. Vibe coder. Trembles. I don't know if it's going to... Yeah, we'll see what's up. I I think there's a thing that like Pete Steinberger says is like agentic engineering, and that's kind of what I like to do. So a lot of this planning to me was just more agentic engineering. Like I kind of have an idea of where the code should be refactored and what it should kind of look like, the shape of it. I'm not spending an enormous amount of time in a specific function or framework, but I have a general idea of like how the data flows in. I kind of have an idea of where my, spider webs are. And so I'm just kind of pointing this and it's like, go over there. That corner has a lot of stuff. Just go figure it out. Um, and I think that's kind of the way you have to start thinking now in this agentic engineering thing. And I kind of want to launch into this interesting topic here of where is the future of coding? Where's the future of engineering? And then what do you do if you're trying to like come up, if you're brand new to this, right? Or maybe you're super experienced and you're seeing your life change from underneath you and you're trying to figure out like my identity. I used to be an engineer for like 30 years and I wrote, code from C all the way up to whatever I'm JavaScript now or something. And like these kids don't know what they're writing about or, whatever. Like I feel that the paradigm that people are failing to see right now is the world of, oh, let me quit this thing here. I have a couple different cameras open. So, all right. I think my audio should be good. What people are missing right now is whenever you had an idea, you would have to learn a new language, figure out how this machines accept this new programming language, and then go and make software for it. Right? So you'd have to like read books, talk to people, pay a bunch of money, go through universities, try to understand computer science, go through just to like make an app, right? And like making an app back then was really hard to do even then. And if you made the app, how do you package it to sell it to the rest of the world? There was like a whole thing like that people spent years on, like trying to package these things, distribute them. And then like the iPhone comes in and now there's like a central store for distributing them. Like the App Store was a thing that, this stuff evolved over time, which is kind of crazy and that we sort of take for granted now, right? So what's happened then is like the same thing. It's like if you have an idea, you have to translate it to like text and make it into a machine language or it's still English, right? It just reads really funnily. And then that gets put down into like, compiler, and the compiler returns that to ones and zeros. Depending on the hardware that you're running, it'll translate those ones and zeros to run on that specific piece of, hardware and machinery. What happens between those, like above those layers are like engineers, designers, program managers, and whatever other stuff that you're doing if you're going to be scaling an idea that's really big and really great. That layer is now like become like, you just add AI on top of it. It's like, it's like the AI interfaces and can act like those types of things and still produce the outputs that get you the apps and other things like that. And so if you're starting to think about what is really important now, it's not specifically learning the code. And it could be useful if you do that. It could be useful if you learn the discipline of a designer, if you learn the discipline of learning to be an engineer, if you learn the discipline of being a quality engineer, if you learn the discipline of like program management, if you learn all these different disciplines, you can spend your entire life going through all of them to make a product, right? And will you be a better product person? Maybe. Like at the end of the day, you still have to put in the number of hours and amount of work. But where everything I feel is going now is not in terms of can you produce very succinct code that another human could read and that you can like have good points on Twitter with, right? It's about the ideas of how can you talk to this agents and have them do the work for you, right? Prompting, that's prompting, right? If you can control the agents to tell them to do something and they do it for you 9 out of 10 times, your buddy over here who can only prompt and get the agents to do things 1 out of 10 times, you're that much more effective than him or her because you understand how those language models work. Oh, you're using that language model. You're using OpenAI. This is much more literal. Okay, you're using Opus. It's much more creative. I'm going to tap that brain, right? So now, instead of collecting all these code and all this other stuff, you're collecting agents to do work for you. And so how can you make a system of agents that can tackle problems in the real world, and you send them off without you really supervising them, right? So the better you get at prompting and controlling agents to do your output or do whatever you need to do from an autonomous fashion, now you're just, like steering them to problems and grouping them together as a package of things, right? So you take different things that you explore with, right? OpenClaw is doing cool stuff. I get a skill. Oh, wow, it gets smarter. Cool, I get a plugin. What if I just make this a specialized agent that can do this types of things reliably for me all the time? So whenever you have like a baseball game, you have 9 players. Whenever you have a basketball team, you have, 6 players or whatever, right? Like hockey teams and stuff too, right? Like there's different players who are superstars. Those superstars in like NBA, Steph Curry is worth like crazy amounts of money more than like the most baseline player in the NBA. But what's crazy is like a baseline player in the NBA, their skill set, if you put them against anyone else below that, like they just far outshine like any other player in the world, right? Like if just to get into the NBA, just like the bench player, right? Like they go circles around everyone else. D League 3 doesn't matter. Like they just can go circles. And that's kind of what you're thinking about now with agents. It's like if you make an agent, if you make like an NBA level player agent, right? Now you have something that can just operate and like do stuff for you. And how do you get that agent to be at that level? You have to like level up the skills. You have to know what prompting is like. You have to put them in different environments. You have to kind of sort of train them. You have to know like how these systems actually work in the real world to then navigate them. You don't have to know exactly the specific code that's happening on the machine at that specific moment in time. That's the agentic part, right? The agentic part is going to cover that for you. If not, can you point it to some skills or some stuff that's written to go kind of do that type of thing? It's all about you orchestrating, right? You're now the NBA team owner. You own this team. How many people you have to bring into your team to put them into the game and play the different scenarios, right? That's why there's not one team dominating the NBA forever. There's not like the Warriors didn't just win every single game for 20 years straight. And it's just like, all right, this is the Warrior show again. Like they're going to like, if I were to bet, it's not, the rules keep changing. The environments keep changing. Other players learn from watching video of another player that's their job. There's a coach that sits down and literally watches Steph Curry's every movement, what he's doing when he's matched up against this guy. They're running AIs on him, like that type of thing is the environment. And that's kind of what you're operating with in the real world when you're manipulating agents, is that like agents are in this world where they're going to constantly change because of their environment. So don't get so caught up in, I don't know the code. Don't get so caught up in the noise of people saying that you don't know how to code, therefore you can't make software. Tune them out. You got to lock in on agents. Can you talk to an agent to have it do things for you? Can you have it do it reliably? Can you then train other agents? Can you utilize local hardware? Can you utilize bigger models to do things? Can you control robots? Can you control other things? Can you then assemble a group of agents to go tackle a business problem? Can you expand that out? Can you make your bench deeper, right? Like literally start thinking about this as like having a company of agents. That company of agents, that NBA team is what today you would call like an app, and or previously what you would call an app. Today, I don't know what you would call it, right? Like you would just call it a team. And so like this is kind of where the paradigm is shifted, right? You're no longer making apps, you're making teams. Right? You're literally making teams, and the better you are at instructing them to do stuff for you by leveling up, this is kind of the thinking you have to do. It's a very different way of thinking. It's actually a different language. It's different language from programming. You're not literally sitting down trying to figure out the exact logic that's going to flow into a system. The LLMs are not like it's not a logical type of system per se. It's it's actually meant to gather all of the world's information and reassemble itself in real time depending on the environment. So that's kind of what it is. It's controlled by language. Like you can control a series of markdown files in different order and get different outputs. It's kind of fun. It's really impressive what he can do. And then if you start pointing these systems at bigger things and bigger problems, different outcomes happen. So always keep that exploration in mind, but also know that you're not doing what people were doing back in the days with like literally writing code. It's a different language and a different way of thinking that you have to do. So that's my PSA for y'all. I feel like that's kind of something I needed to get out. And if you're watching this stream and you're still watching this, I think you needed to hear this right now. I don't think a lot of people are speaking about it this way. A lot of people are really scared, which I totally get if it's going after something that they've done for a while. I also get that, like, if it's the way that you used to make money and then that's going to be going away, that's really scary too, because now you lose a sense of identity. But the reason why I'm doing live streams and the reason kind of why I just turn on the camera is because I just want to be as real as possible. And I want to learn with you live in real time. No one knows all the answers. And I think that if we come together as a community and start sharing back and forth, it's going to help all of us like succeed, right? So whatever I'm doing live, whenever I'm partnering with a company, I was like, hey, let's get some tokens. Let's build together. Let's understand this as a community. It's just not about, me getting everything right. I don't think that's not too exciting. If I only get tokens and you don't, like, then no one wins, right? Like, we need to expand this out further. And so if that's something you're really interested, make sure you stay tuned, because I'm trying to do more live events, not only in San Francisco, but all over the world, from Hawaii to like Texas to New York, London, wherever you're at, like, let me know. I want to be doing this more often. And this is kind of what we got to do right now. I feel like you have a small window to continue to lock in and to keep growing. I've encouraged the same thing with my brother too. My brother is like really addicted to video games, like I was too. Like, and he's like not playing games as much as he used to because now he's working more. But I'm trying to say, like, hey, instead of turning on the video games, why don't you just like start prompting and like, let me show you what cool stuff you can do now. Like, what's the cool stuff you can do in robotics? What's the cool stuff you can do with like mechanics? Because he's really good with his hands. He can wire up data centers. I was like, dude, hyperscalers are like the thing. You can do this already. Like, you just have to shift your attention and skills this way. And then this is how you can utilize these models to start kind of thinking about these problems in different ways. And so that's kind of, I think, where we're going with this. And that's kind of, what's up right there. So tokens is factory. Factories didn't get their tokens. Is this like a bot? This is great advice and guidance. Thank you, man. Yeah, facts. Great setup. Lock in, bro. No, I appreciate the comments. I feel like I had to do the PSA, Nail, as the models get better, we get powerful. Yeah, also, yeah, reps matter for sure. Yeah. I feel like AI has changed things from can I build it or can I build? Yeah, exactly. Now you basically are in this world now where you can you can build whatever you want, but like you can now start to, like, it's going to be more important to think of your OpenClaw as like your Steph Curry, right? Like, you can have many of them. You can have a team. Like, I would encourage you to like figure out if you can make a specific, make a new OpenClaw and then start to talk to that and see if you can have it do some different characteristics for you, right? Like, level up that thing. Like, this thing's going to be really good at image, visualization. Start playing with some visual models and start seeing if it can detect your cup. Like, what are other cool things in your life that you want to solve for your own use cases? And like, that can just be the dedicated model and like, bot for that. And then that thing can share back information to the others as well. So you're the orchestrator, or you can make an orchestrator type of thing. And you have these different ones that have different characteristics. A lot of people are making fun of people with these OpenClaw's and stuff. And like, to be honest, I can understand why, because one, if you try to prompt these things and they don't give you the results, it's really easy to just be like, this is not ready to go yet. They're still thinking in the App Store moment. They're like already only seeing, like, whenever someone's like a realist, it just means that they're not forward thinking sometimes, because they're just going to discount everything that isn't in front of them. And I think what people who are realists actually forget to see is the fact that every single thing that they're using came from someone who was creative that wasn't real at that period of time. Airplanes, if you were to tell someone that you can go from here to Hawaii in like 4 hours from California and not spend like a month on the ocean and like get eaten by lions and oceans and like whatever octopuses and stuff and turtles, they'd be like, you're tripping. Like, whatever. Galileo, like, seeing stars and stuff. Like, you're seeing stars? You think there's space up there? You think there's like planets and things are moving around? Like, we're the center of the universe. What do you mean? And so people like that came because they knew that they can make the future. And what I'm saying right now is that you can make the future too. The reason like that people are like discounting things is because they're only looking at things of what they see right now. And other people are seeing the shift in front of them. Obviously, other people are selling this whole thing as well, like saying, oh, this is part of something that's bigger. And you don't really want to get caught up in news or rhetoric. If you have those people, just mute them. You know, people who are trying to start drama, people who are trying to take these talking points and launch off into them and try to get attention. At the end of the day, are they going to educate you? Are they going to help you get to the next level? Are they encouraging you to learn and like show you cool stuff to like actually grow? Those are the people you want to be around. Like that's how you know that's the circle. That's the folks you want to mess with for sure. So yeah, got some folks like that in the Discord, of course. Definitely check that out. But that's kind of the way I get down, and you're gonna see a lot more of that. I stream every Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I'm trying to do some more streams in the week. So on Monday, we got the IRL stream. I'm gonna be pulling up with Alex Finn. So I'm gonna be rolling around with the camera. We're gonna be pulling up to the actual GTC live stream. So like the actual event. I am pretty sure I won't be able to stream the actual event with Jensen talking, but afterwards I'm gonna do another stream where we pop on and then gonna set up the OpenClaw and the DGX Spark. I'm based off Silicon Valley here, also in Hawaii. So you'll see me like going to companies and talking to different people about AI, asking them different questions, really trying to understand how this technology works, trying to apply this in real life. And like I've said, I'm trying to level up my agentic engineering experience to guide these agents to do really cool stuff. And if you're down with that, definitely subscribe and stay locked in, if you know what I mean. So that's what's up. Everything started somewhere for sure. Much love. I hope we win one day for sure. Okay, cool. So let me make fun. We need more experimentation, like we used to everything in AI, random open source projects back in 2023. Tinkering is also learning. Exactly. Yeah. Ocean lions are the worst. That's exactly why I said that. Oh man, Tech Fred, what's going on, man? I appreciate you being here. That's so cool. Yeah. Oh, we got to do the Olympics, by the way. We're trying to come up with this cool concept with the coding Olympics. Definitely needed to hear this. Yeah, for sure. Good to see you, mate. Early here. Man, you get super early. That's crazy. So yeah, I appreciate everyone being on stream. I will be here tomorrow and then also going to be here on Monday. So make sure you lock in, and I'm really excited to do that. Make sure you get the OpenClaw stuff set up. I'm curious to see once you get your LCM plugin installed, literally just this one line here that we were talking about earlier. LCM, if we go down over here, install the plugin. It's just this right here, this one line. And then once it's installed, from then on forward, it should start this thing where it's automatically, you know, when it does the compactions and stuff, you should be able to understand for a longer period of time. This also works in Telegram group chats and other chats that are really long running. And this is going to be a really fun way for you to interact with your OpenClaw to get longer memory. So if you're wondering, I already have QMD installed. So QMD for searching and doing all that stuff, it is compatible. They actually kind of a layer on top of it, or a layer with each other. And so this is gonna, you know, just specifically for compaction and trying to understand, you know, where all these types of things. So I'm really excited, especially since this is gonna be something that's very long running for a long period of time. I think it's gonna be really, really cool. So Hilo, what's going on, man? Yo, what's up, man? Hilo, I gotta pop into Hilo for sure. Yeah, I just got MCL installed. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, thanks for the good stream, man. Yeah, cool, man. I appreciate everyone on here. Make sure to obviously spread the love, and I think other people are. We're onto something. We're onto a new movement that I feel like this is why I like to do what I do, is because this is not something an AI can do, and people spent their time. Like I dropped out of school, right? So I dropped out of school. If you don't know my background, I worked at Apple for over 10 years, and so I learned on the job. So I learned everything I know about engineering, shipping software. Billions of people use software on those devices, on these little things, on the watches, on every single thing that you've touched, probably Apple product wise. I have a lot of fingerprints on, and they can use them because, you know, I've spent a lot of time working on them, and like a lot of product decisions have scaled up to be like billions of users, and people don't even like know who works on these types of things. And it's not even me, but it's many people that you work with. But these teams are really, really tiny, and they can accomplish a lot. And I've spent a lot of time thinking through a lot of different problems there, and working on some really crazy stuff. And I learned because people took their time out of their day to explain how a system works. They would draw on a diagram board. I would ask them questions. And that's the way that I had to learn. And that's the only way that I can learn, really, because when I was in school, I didn't realize I had dyslexia. So I had to just recently I had to learn, I had to speak out loud to hear myself to learn. So that's kind of meta, right? But like you have to do that, or someone has to read to you. And so I couldn't read really. So I faked my way through school. And so people thought I was lazy when I was presented new information that I'd never heard before. and it was only written, and they just thought, oh, he's so lazy, he just doesn't like to do his work. And so for the longest time, that was the craziest thing. But if I can, like, I've always felt this need of like people really misunderstood me, or people like me are out there who can learn differently by watching someone or hearing someone. And if you're out there, you're probably watching YouTube because you need to see and you need to hear this too. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of like why I'm on YouTube, right? So I'm not writing prolific blog posts or writing crazy books because like those people would be on there. That's what live stream is for, right? Like live, I can pop on live. This just happened. Like literally, my guy just tweeted this, I don't know how many hours ago. And like we're already on this, right? Like 9 a.m. today. Like it's 2 o'clock. We're on this. We already got this installed. We're talking about it live, and we're learning live, and I'm sharing this live. And this is what I want to be here for. I want to be here for you. I want to be here, like, not only for you, but for me. Like, it helps me talk about this thing live publicly, and this is how we get down. So if you know some other folks who learn this way, this is probably the best place to be hanging out with. You can ask some questions live. This is kind of like my whole thing here. So the plugin is called Lossless Claw, or LCM for the most part. And I have some links in the description too. If you just go to Pete's thing, or if you go on YouTube, I'll also have it linked as well. So just got LCM installed. Let's see how it goes. Yeah. And so this plugin will help with the like memory for conversations for longer context. And it's cool because it actually comes with a really cool website that actually shows you how the memory system works. So yeah, I think with that said, I think I got to head on out. I actually have to finish my taxes, y'all. I got to get back to the taxes and stuff. So Claude Cowork is going to be my best friend right now for the next, rest of the day. And I appreciate everyone who's been able to stay on stream. I hope this gets you to think a little bit differently about how you think about agents, how you should learn how to direct them, how you should learn to level them up, how you should start thinking about like orchestrating them to do tasks for you as a team, because this concept is extremely powerful. We're just getting started with this, and we're all figuring this out live together. And this is what you like to do. Make sure you stay followed along, share this with a friend, and I will see you guys in the next stream. Peace out, y'all.